All right, welcome everyone to Vegan Collective Intelligence, meeting number 26. We're going to start with the admin portion of the meeting and eventually open it up to discussion. Let's see, the duration of this meeting is no longer than 2 hours. Last week's meeting is available on our YouTube channel, and notes from meetings prior to that are in the docs and files. Are there any short announcements from outside of this group that anyone has? Go for it.
Yeah, I have a short announcement that we've come up with a framework that we're really excited about, that we've been talking about for the last 6 hours for the most part, and it's called The Conversation. And so I just wanted to offer that whenever you want to create some space. Happy to give an intro to that. Back to you guys. Thank you.
Cool. Yeah. I think there will definitely be some space here. So the last thing in the admin is just that the next meeting is next Tuesday at 5 p.m. This is the time we decided on through a new doodle poll that most people were available for. So yeah, happy to have a new time and new home for VCI. So the first was on our agenda here. We had a meeting yesterday with the co-founders of Beyond Animal, Claire Smith and Dinesh Kothari. We recorded it. It is going to be, I'm waiting for permission from them to post it on YouTube, or whether we should post that privately. So we're waiting on posting that, but that will be available soon. The discussion was great. It's a very inspiring and ambitious project that they're doing right now. It's kind of along the same vein as Vegan World 2026 in terms of it's like this huge scope, and they've also got a lot of technical minds working on it that are in a pretty cool plan. So I'm not going to go super into detail there because it's all going to be posted in that video. But the main thing that we came away with was, in terms of moving forward with that, was that we're going to be, and feel free to check out Beyond Animal for those of you who haven't checked it out yet. It's a social network for vegans and
vegan friendly businesses, not just vegan. I type it in the chat too.
So the main thing that we are moving forward with is creating a document, a shared document with Claire and Dinesh that kind of outlines the minimum requirements for us to move from Basecamp to Beyond Animal. And essentially that has kind of come down to their ability to have super groups and direct messaging. So
unless anyone else has any other either nice to haves or need to haves based on your exploration with it, I think we'll start a Google Doc probably with that, so we can all add to it, or something in Basecamp. I don't know. We'll figure out how to do it.
Yeah, I think we're going to start a Google Doc and post it within Vegan Collective Intelligence docs and files. That's at least where it will start. For those of you who want to check it out and add your input, it'd be really appreciated, especially if you took a look at, they have some presentations available online about their platform too, but we kind of got a specific look into how they're moving forward, like quarter by quarter, what features they're going to be implementing and when, and kind of what their priorities are. So with that, I want to open that up to any discussion, any questions or comments on Beyond Animal. Go for it, Jim.
So a clarifying question. Did I hear you correctly in saying move from Basecamp to Beyond Animal social network And if so, what's this move all about?
Yeah, I will. So our Basecamp license expires the end of this year. Is that correct, Dr. Rao?
Yeah, it expires in January of next year. So it's renewed every January. And Basecamp is a way to organize our efforts so that we can coordinate our work together. And Beyond Animal is attempting to do exactly the same thing in a much more, I think it's a user-friendly way, much more of a social network platform. But it is also trying to help us coordinate our actions together as a group. So, so we evaluated that, and and if people feel comfortable with moving the project to Basecamp, from Basecamp to Beyond Animal, I'm all for it.
And then a follow-up, since is that I'd like to, as like a feature set. For me, it's beyond nice to have. It's like, hey, we really need this now. Is a community calendar of the Zoom video conferences that are within the social network and that everyone's invited to. Maybe they have that now, I don't know, but this could really be the place for us to build a network of conversations that's deeply interconnected. And the more I venture out into the world, right, from this very safe, protected vegan enclave, the more I don't like it out there, right? And the more I'm just returning home to you all and saying, you know what? Because here's the thing: the violence against animals extends to violence within meetings, right? And it's just, so we need a safe place for this baby of collective superintelligence. And if it's beyond animal, it's beyond animal. I definitely want it to be in a vegan village. I want the baby to be raised in a vegan village. So anyway, more on that when we get to the conversation, because that'll kind of crystallize all that. Back to you all. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm pretty excited about it. It seems like a really cool fit for us, and we don't exactly know how long or what kind of timeline it is exactly yet. But I did mention to them that it would be really cool to integrate some kind of Reddit-like sub-conversation mechanism like we've discussed here in the past, because that seems like the perfect application for your conversation idea.
Well, actually, I'll add to that two thoughts. Number one, it may make sense to have the Reddit-like conversations on Reddit, just because they've got that nailed, and then we could have a separate Reddit thread going for each conversation. And then, but for the calendaring thing, what I'm really talking about is about the synchronous Zoom video conferences, separate from the asynchronous Reddit. And the dialectic, right? The vegan milk, vegan Oreo, back and forth between those two is, I think, super powerful. So I would recommend a calendar for video conferences on Beyond Animal, and then the Reddit stuff perhaps over in Reddit, just because Reddit's really got it down with the multi-threading and the infinite threading and whatever they, anyway, back to you. Thanks.
Yeah, absolutely. That'd be very cool. Jessica, we were talking about beyondanimal.com.
But plus Reddit's
the conversation-like feature, the way that the conversations can be split and
kind of infinitely, infinitely split.
Cool. There's a vegan Reddit. I have not seen that.
Well, then that's probably it. If they've got it as good as Reddit, if they're really got it down, then bam, do it there. And the cool thing there is, you then allow for the people in vegan Reddit to learn about what we're doing and vice versa and all this stuff. And it's all about communities. Okay, I'm going to go on mute. Thank you.
Oh, great. Any other questions or comments about Beyond Animal and the presentation that took place yesterday?
I forgot the chat part. Like, how is the chatting part, or like the IM?
Yeah, there's no current direct way of direct messaging, but that is on their list of features to add.
Or it's on our list, at least.
Yeah.
Although, I mean, we could find another solution for that too.
We could ask the beyond if they incorporate probably if their app kind of accommodates that. I think they have something like a web-based app, so maybe that's what limiting. Maybe we can just tell them it'll be nice to interact.
Yeah.
And their search features, I think, Dr. Rao, you mentioned this when you saw the presentation, that search feature is really cool. The way that you can find people that have similar interests or skills across the world. It's pretty cool. And it's going to be an incredible vegan database once it's populated with everybody here and everybody in the world going vegan. It's going to be really, really cool. So with that, the next thing on the agenda is we've kind of been discussing in the past couple of weeks on the onboarding or orientation process of Vegan World 2026. And I think Jackie and Ray and Jessica have been meeting and talking about that. Jackie, would you be able to provide an update?
Or
anyone?
Yeah, as Jessica, if she wouldn't mind, because we are meeting again. So just a quick update for you.
Yeah, so we've been meeting. We've met with Ray, we've met with Dr. Rao, and we have a lot of things figured out, and I think it's really coming together. And we're going to meet again on Thursday night, and maybe with someone else in Basecamp who's got some ideas and is interested in helping out with it. And of course, if anybody else is interested in helping out with it, let us know. And Ray, I don't know if you wanted to add anything else?
The onboarding process, I've been thinking of fleshing it out into a series of videos. Video is one of my skills, so I thought there's a way to be able to get people oriented with all the different details that we want them to be primed with regarding what Vegan World 2026 is all about, what Basecamp's all about, and our protocols and so forth. And doing it in a series of staged videos where they watch it and then they answer a few questions to prove that they watched it, rather than having, documents where you kind of like software license agreements where you kind of go, yeah, I read it. We want to be able to say these are all things that everybody knows in order to be part of Basecamp, so that we don't have to surprise people with our protocol. If everybody knows, then it's something that it's a lot easier for everybody to adhere to. And I think it's also a way to make it a little bit more fun. I want to try to reduce the size of that intro, that first form to get into Basecamp. It's really long. I was testing it today, and I was finding it a bit too long, a lot too long. So I wanted to have two surveys, one that just gets us on board, and then the other one that is the orientation once we get into Basecamp. And so Jessica and Jackie's documents have set up a lot of the framework of the kind of like the chronology and the checkboxes of everything that we want to go through. So it's all a progression from there.
Cool.
Awesome.
I'm curious how it is going to work when somebody joins Vegan World 2026. Is there, what happens next, I guess?
One of our discoveries, we are trying to solve the problem of when we add somebody in Basecamp. If you go into the admin and you add somebody and you click all the boxes of the groups that they want to join, it sends them an email. You press save and it sends them an email. I asked Basecamp can I customize that email? Because it's just sending out something that they've been entered, and there's no, friendliness or like the first step of what to do. And Jessica has a different onboarding process where she adds people directly to a group. And in that process, you get to send them a customized message, which was a bit of a revelation. So this works perfectly for us, because if we start with a orientation group, you just get added to one group before you get added to all the groups. This method allows you to join Basecamp. You get a personalized message, and then you get a quiz to teach you all the things about Basecamp, etc. So I've also been working with a plugin for Basecamp, which allows you to automatically create, as soon as somebody fills out the form, it recognizes an addition to the spreadsheet that collects all the names, and automatically creates an account for them in whichever group you want. So there may be a way to automate that process, so it happens instantly, rather than whenever I go back in and enter, 5 or 6 more people. This way it would happen a little bit more instantaneously. So I was testing that today, and I think there's a lot of merit in it. I think it'll probably work out. Did I answer your question? What was it specifically, Ben?
Yeah, I think that answers the question, so that they get added to a group immediately, and then there's a message that's attached that kind of has the follow-up information.
And they're like in that one group before they take a second survey. That's exactly what we were talking about too. Like really just collecting like your name, email address, and then like that's really all we need for the first sign up survey. Maybe your organization or your location. That like we can really simplify that first one. Jackie.
I just added someone yesterday. I wanted to see what it was like, and because I had never added someone, and I went right into the Vegan World 2026 and just added from there. And I was able to customize the email, like Jessica said, just from the Vegan World 2026 group. But because he was interested in the currency group, and I'm not a member, I can't add him. So I was just curious. Now that I've added him to the Vegan World 2026 group, and I can customize the email, if anyone received anything notifying them that had been done, like that's the part I don't know. Like if one of us do, what is immediately the next step, and where does it generate from?
Well, if for the first part, to add him to the other group, then if you do the way that Ray was talking about, the way that he normally adds people going to the admin land, then you can do it from there. So you could add them through the other place, but nobody gets notified whenever anybody's added to anywhere. That I don't get notified. I don't know if Ray or someone else gets notified. I don't get notified.
So
and Benjamin,
the email survey that's usually generated when a new member onboards, is that when we add someone through the admin? Or do we have to, when we add someone, do we have to let someone else know so that they can get the survey? Like that's the part I'm missing.
The survey will probably be part of that customized email that they get when they become a member. When they have their account created, they're part of one project. So that project will also have all the training videos, etc. But that I'm hoping to have the quiz itself will be a series of videos, all those videos lined up with questions to answer. And once they finish the quiz, we're then automatically notified in a separate group that so-and-so needs to be promoted. They've passed, and they can be added to all the groups that they had already signed up for. Or we have that sign-up process in that second quiz. That we could do in one of two ways.
Can I share my screen really quickly? I've been working on something that I think is kind of like this. You see that? Where we bring them in through a really simple survey, and then you know, I don't know exactly what's in the welcoming group. This is a bit of a placeholder, you know, too, but yeah, kind of bringing them through a welcoming group, then maybe even recommending that they only join a few after the welcoming group, just so, you know, to start with maybe 3 or 5, or, you know, I joined, I think, 20 when I first joined. So, you know, coming up with some kind of recommendation, and then also showing them how they can start their own task force if there isn't something for them yet.
And then an example of moving from a study group to a task force to a work product, just kind of as something that we've been wanting to visualize, along with Ray has a great graphic that he's been working on that is visualizing all of the circles and how they're interconnected. And then we had a little meeting with him about that, and kind of came up with the idea that, okay, we should also show the flow of how things get done here too. So this is kind of a little visualization of that. So I think we're all kind of on the same page here. Like, I don't know what this welcoming group exactly looks like. Have you all thought about that?
One thing that may happen organically out of that is that people are added to this orientation group, they graduate, and then we can let them quit that group so that they don't get any chatter with the people that are just learning the systems and have all their, you know, the first timer questions. There's also a possibility for anybody that wants to help in this process of onboarding new people, and anybody that wants to be part of this welcoming committee or has a stake in people understanding a particular element about Vegan World 2026 or Basecamp, they could stay part of that group. And they could be part of the team that's answering questions and also recognizing where there's pain points and coming up with solutions for that. So this could be a process that's developed over time, and finding ways to just make it easier for everybody.
Yeah, I had that in there as a buddy system, but I don't know exactly the welcoming committee, something. Jessica?
Did you call me? I couldn't hear.
Oh, yes.
Oh, okay. Yeah, we were talking about that the other night, about we were calling it, or we thought about calling it a welcoming committee. And so some people who are already in Basecamp, let's say Shankar is like, oh, I want to be on the welcoming committee, then he could go ahead and be added to that group once it exists also. So people who are already in it, plus, like Ray was saying, the people who come in if they want to stay in there, to help people answer questions and things like that. And then they could go from there. And I completely agree, Suzanne, about the 3, like start with like 3 things, 3 teams, groups, projects, and so on. Maybe just highly recommend.
Yeah.
Start with 3 or fewer, you know, at the most 3 maybe, and just go from there. You can always add more later, but because especially with some of the other things, it would just get kind of overwhelming, I think, to be on a lot at once.
Right.
Also, there's one of the caveats of limiting the number of groups that people can join. They could join like 12 and discover that none of them are really that active. The different groups are different degrees of engaged activity. Part of this process could be to recognize which groups are very active. And since this is done in a series of little videos, we could also let the groups, the coordinators of the groups decide if they want to recruit new members and try to make a little promo video, just like a little script that follows the same format as the rest of the videos, and say, this is what's going on in New Economy, this is what's going on in normalizing vegan food, so that, you know, they want more members, they can offer a little bit of a promo for the new people that are onboarding, so that they'll join their group.
Jessica?
Thank you. And Dr. Greger has some point within the past couple of years, I saw that he either had like a, I don't know, some sort of text that he wrote up about it, and or a video about he was asking for feedback from nutritionfacts.org users about what specific length of video they preferred. And he said, we've tried different lengths. We've tried 1.5 minutes up to, like, I don't know what he said, 7 minutes, 10 minutes. And he said, it's pretty clear that we want it under 5. And then just trying to remember what I think he said, I'm pretty sure he said that they seemed to feel that the sweet spot was between 2 and 4 minutes. And, he gets like a ton of, people viewing the videos all the time. So maybe if these videos, all of these, whatever, all kinds of videos are created, and maybe they can be ongoing too with the groups as they do things, then people in the group can, like record a Zoom meeting like this where they have parts that are sort of pre-planned where they're giving an update about what they're doing, and those can be added to somewhere also. And always try to maybe keep it within that 2 to 4 minutes, since he's already figured that out and he does so great with his 2,000 plus video.
Yeah, I like that.
This is also an opportunity. I mentioned pointing out which groups are active and which ones are not. Groups that are not are obviously looking for some sort of mentorship, some sort of energy behind them to get them active, get the meeting started. So at least one of the videos should be about that kind of what sociocracy calls leadership, but we want to call organizing for different groups. So what is required? It's just a little bit more energy and dedication. You don't have to, be the expert on the new economy or commerce or whatever regarding the group. You just have to be the one that says, we're going to have a meeting, we're going to, manage the agenda, and then make sure that we have another meeting. A lot of groups haven't gone that far to do that due diligence. So this process could do what we haven't done. A lot of people have signed up and clicked the box that says that they want to be a leader, but we haven't really followed up on that. We've just kind of added them to all the groups and hope that they've taken the initiative. So now this is an opportunity to take it one step further and properly invite them to take the lead on different tasks.
Go ahead, Silesh, and then Jamin.
Yeah, I was going to say that groups are going to become more active in the future. So we have to assume that all these questions have to be addressed. And eventually we are going to have to address them. So it's a matter of figuring out how to get them to become active, and then how to invite experts to come and help us with addressing those particular questions. So we need to make it a welcoming environment for this, which is really what Jessica and Jackie and Ray have been working on, trying to create that environment. Because there are a lot of people who are complaining to me saying, I get so many emails, I don't want to be part of this anymore. So it's like a common thing. And this is why I made sure that I'm on every group. So this way I know the volume of emails that I get, that someone would be getting, if they were in my position. And yeah, it is. There's a lot of emails coming, but it also shows that there is a lot of activity happening. So it's both good and bad. But yeah.
And the best solution for that is the training itself. If they're forced to go into just a little bit of training, and it's hard to do self-managed training. A little guided training, you just takes a couple minutes, and then they understand all your different options. I discovered one more. Has anybody used the Basecamp Desktop App? Usually I'm clicking on an email, a link in an email to get to whatever thing I'm responding to, so it kind of opens up in a browser. But you could download an app that runs independently of your internet browser, which you get it by clicking on the Basecamp word when you're in Basecamp. It says, would you like to download the desktop app? It works exactly the same way as your browser. It just may be, if you've got a lot of things going on your computer and you want to get into Basecamp, you can click on the, skip to the app itself rather than looking for the tab that you were missing. So there's lots of different ways of using Basecamp, including the mobile apps, and customize it to your user experience, your preferences as a person who engages people either on your phone. You're a person that likes to get every notification of your emails, but you don't want to access notifications of your emails. All these things can be customized with a little bit of training.
Jamin.
Thank you, Benjamin and Suzanne. So, I just wanted to put forth a radical idea, and I'm glad that everyone is here, including Jackie. Here's a radical idea. Okay, so talking about welcoming people to these new groups. What could be more welcoming than a party, right? And we already have the 24-hour block party. So what occurs to me is that we could take a 1-hour period, just 1 hour, at some point, preferably kind of in the evening hours, when people are feeling kind of in that party space or whatever, right? Hey, it's Friday night, and it's a meet and greet, and it's, it's like a 1 hour, just get together, that's very newcomer friendly, right? And then, so for example, let's say, and then Jackie is fast becoming the kind of the point person for scheduling stuff on the block party, which is super awesome. And so imagine that during that 1 hour, maybe like 4 groups raise their hand and say, hey, we'd each like to do a 5-minute presentation, kind of welcome. Hey, welcome everyone, this is us. But very much in that block party, you just kind of get up in front of everybody. You got a beer in one hand, microphone in the other. And, it's like, hey, everybody, that, that kind of spirit, that's what makes it welcoming. It takes the pressure off. This is not your, dissertation defense or something like it. It's just, hey, what's up? This is us, and we're on Basecamp, and da-da-da, and da-da-da-da, and da-da-da. And back to you, Jackie, and then she hands it off to the next person. So we go through 20 minutes of that or whatever. And then, quick updates or whatever, which could be individual updates, or they could be group updates, a minute or less, some quickies. And we go through 10 or 12 quickies like that, right? And then a little discussion, whatever, maybe a little music. And it's like, wow, I'm really digging this Vegan World 2026. I join, and next thing you know, they invite me to a party. And it's a 24-hour block party. Sure, we carve out 60 minutes to kind of do our thing. Great, but yeah, everyone's welcome for the full 24 hours, right? And we're working really hard, Jackie and I and others, and I invite all of you into the process to help us with that scheduling for the whole block party. Because let's face it, this is the block party is ours, right? It's not Jamin's thing, it's our thing. And same with the Solution Club and everything we're doing. So anyway, just wanted to offer that. Think about it, talk about it with Jackie, whatever. I'm game, right? What a cool way. Come on, we got the answer. I really think we got the answer. What, you're inviting me to a party? Everyone wants to be invited to a party. Nobody wants to do some computer-aided training. Nobody wants to go, but everyone wants to go to a party. So let's invite them. Okay, thanks everybody. Go on mute. Thank you.
I love that,
Love
Jamin.
that idea.
I had a weekly meeting in my layout too. I think that'll catch people, and if they can't come this Friday, then they know to plan for next Friday, because it's gonna be there. So.
It's great that it's recurring. We've had a monthly, Monday meeting, weekly Monday meeting that we've kind of turned into an open house for base campers, and so far just a couple of people have shown up, but they've both appreciated there being a welcoming kind of open space for them to talk it through. So this sounds like perfect opportunity. Jessica, did you have a question?
Yeah, I like that idea to alternate the time. Yeah.
Yeah, my question maybe could wait for a different time. I'm not sure. It's relevant to the onboarding process only because when, in my mind, when I start to think about what happens, so let's say Sally down the street. I think I always say Sally down the street. Okay, let's say Sally down the street gets on Climate Healers, and she is like, oh, okay, I want to join this. And so she clicks on the, let's say, the new survey where it just asks for her name and her email. And we talked about this the other night, that where it asks for your name to say, this is the name that people will call you. So if your name is Samantha, but you go by Sam, please put Sam, so that it can be entered into Basecamp that way, so it won't be constantly people saying, oh, but I go by Sam, or how do I change my name? But anyway, so Sally down the street says, I want to join it, and she puts in her name and her email address, and she gets added to the welcome group, whatever it is called, and the welcoming committee welcomes her, and she goes through the videos and the training and the quizzes, and then she picks 3 groups that she wants to work on. Then for me personally, then I say, then what exactly? And I feel like I want to understand every single little part of, or every single, I don't know how many teams and study groups and task forces and other things that don't fit any of those that there are now, 20 something, I think. But for every single one of those, I think that it's important that that whoever all is involved in creating the onboarding process knows exactly what is supposed to happen with each of those groups, I'll just call them groups, groups to get to whatever the end result is supposed to be. So for some, if it's writing a white paper, then where does the white paper, who does the white paper get turned into? And some of these questions I just asked Dr. Rao and he answered. But like, so who does it get turned into, and then what, and then what, and then what? And then if there's no white paper, if rather than that, if it's the IEEE, if they're trying to, for a group, create a process that people all over the world can put into practice if they want to, then what kinds of formats can that be in? Who does it get turned into? And then what? Where does it go? Where are these documents being put out into the world? It's so that, because if we don't know what all happens in all of those, maybe you all know, but I don't know. So I couldn't explain to someone else exactly what happens every little step, and then this and this and this and this. So I could see that if someone joins and then they're part of the group, and if it's not active, let's say, but they love it and they're so about food, let's say a vegan chef, they are like, well, I don't know what to do now. You know, what exactly am I doing? What exactly am I supposed to create? You know what I mean? So, so if at some point I would like to know a list of every single group that's part of Basecamp and exactly what they are to create and where it goes, if someone approves it, and then what happens after, and where does it get placed out into the world.
That's a great idea.
Part of that training process is going to be explaining that purpose of the study group to find their meaning and beget all sorts of task forces. Understanding that process will be part of the onboarding. As for what each group is about, we wouldn't want to limit the person and say, oh, the normalizing vegan food is about this. Be prepared to do this when you enter the group. We want everybody to bring whatever they are to the group. So, and there isn't anybody that can really answer all of those questions. You have to be part of the group in order to know where things are going. And I've discovered that with that question, dividing the vision, mission, and aims and culture with every group, it's kind of defining the culture of that group based on its elements, based on the people that are involved in it. How they answer those questions completely changes what the group is. One person's, any set of 5 or 10 different people might come up with a particular vision, and then another 10 people may come up with a completely different vision based on the same topic. So it's great how that process is going to make sure that whatever our strengths and interests are going to come out of that group. And a lot of them are very big, which reminds me, that's another aspect of this onboarding process is that we'll understand the hierarchies, because as Silas mentioned, we're looking at different sociocratic rings that some of them are a lot bigger and broader in topic. And knowing where you fit in that may help you decide where you want to be involved in Vegan World 2026. Do you want to be involved in food, the economy of food, and the thriving systems of food and economics? That is a particular pathway in that diagram that Benjamin mentioned earlier. I can't share my screen. Benjamin, if you've got a copy of that diagram, you can share it with people. Get a first glimpse at it. It's a work in progress.
Yeah, we're pulling it up right now. You need to zoom in, or can everyone see it okay?
We're that big Jupiter up on the right, or the sun up on the top right there. That's us. That's this group that sucks all the oxygen in. We are kind of that clearinghouse of information. We're part of the public-facing aspect of Vegan World 2026. So as we collect all the information, it's also breaking down the silo barriers that prevent duplication of our work that might happen between things like Aquarius, which is talking about currency, and New Economy, which is talking about the broader economy of currency plus non-currency elements of economy. And those are thriving systems. Thriving Systems is a group that hasn't even begun. And partially, I think the reason is because it is a kind of a connecting circle rather than a circle with a lot of burning topics that people like to talk about. It's going to be a place where ideas come together rather than where a lot of the ideas are formed. The smaller the circles, these are the study groups that are coming up with more specific things, and they're naturally going to discover even more granular topics that they'll be able to make more circles and focus on things specifically, like the other diagram that Benjamin was showing about the storytellers and the individual stories being veganized. And on the bottom, I've shown the study groups are the circles, task forces. These arrow-shaped objects can be coming out of any one of these groups. Any or all of them should be developing concepts that are proactive and are facing the world, that, you know, people engage with topics that they like. And I have a feeling it's going to be a benefit for our attendance as well once we get task forces going, because a lot of activists I know aren't really digging this study model where you sit and you read and you share information. They want to go out and engage the public. They're going to love task forces. And I'm sure you know a lot of people like that as well. So when we find ways, like there's a universal meal genre, we want to take that universal meal option from PCRM and turn it into an entire genre and approach vegan chefs and vegan celebrities and so forth, and try to popularize this term so much so that it just becomes a cooking genre. And some of them are big, some of them are just a specific agenda, like Shankar's NAICS codes was one of them there. That's kind of like a one and done, but a good step in normalizing vegan food, making it something that's familiar to people when they fill out their tax forms. And nothing makes things seem like it's arrived when government forms start having the word vegan on it. Good job, Shankar.
And thank you.
Shankar did that drawing?
No, Ray did that one.
Oh, okay.
There was
Shankar
one task force
working.
that was the NAICS codes that was a project that Shankar has proposed and carried through. And I was using it as an example.
Oh, gotcha. Anyway, that drawing, absolutely beautiful. Just like, wow. So really, great job, Ray. Awesome. Hats off, man. And thank you.
And I think we'll bring that image up again in a second, because it's
Well, that's our
it's
next agenda
the
item.
next
So
agenda
we've
item.
kind of moved into that. But Jessica was
Jessica.
in the queue, I think, from before. Sorry.
Oh, thank you. Maybe I didn't explain what I was talking about very well, but what I meant was, for example, well, to use something that one of my university professors used to say in speaking about teaching kids with disabilities. She said, if you don't know where you're going, it's hard to know when you've gotten there. And so what I mean specifically is, like, when Ray puts the diagram up, aside from that, but what does each circle, what is their goal exactly? Like, what exactly are they to make? And where exactly does it go? And then exactly what happens after that. That's what I meant.
I think it might. So one of the things that Suzanne's been working on is kind of the next agenda item is this wiki public-facing document that kind of has this. I'm imagining it being dynamic content where each of the people who are within one of the circle's members can come and update what that group is currently working on, as well as
I'm gonna share.
are you going to share it?
Again.
Okay. Suzanne will do a better job of explaining this than me.
Okay. So this is.
But I kind of imagine this being what you're talking about, Jessica, is kind of a place to keep all of that in one spot where we can edit it in the background, and then there's just one page that everybody sees.
I guess I wasn't quite prepared to do this yet. So for example, this could be, adjusted to say what exactly they're working on right now. Maybe they're working on the at-risk farmer bill with AFA and Vegan Justice League, for example. And they can, this document can be kind of a repository for that kind of information. And so this is one wiki solution, bit.ai, and going into a different one that we're testing. I'm imagining it would be like, this is where these working on their white, and once it's finished, then we would move it from this editing work in progress folder into, I don't know if you can tell right now, this is only accessible to the team, and these ones with the little globe, those are on our public site. So we can move things, from a draft version into our public site. I think we can even put videos in here, training guides, whatever the work product is going to be for that particular group. I think we can use a solution like this for people to be able to collaborate behind the scenes, and then also make it public facing and more of an open source resource for people too. Does that kind of address a little more? I mean, I think it's going to be a variety of solutions. Like, I think some things will be on the YouTube channel, like My Vegan Kitchen was one of the ideas that I think we should see through and get people to do that, all sorts of things. But I think mainly the wiki for a lot of the resources.
And Jessica, you've given me something else to think about. We're talking about the onboarding process of getting into Vegan World 2026. You're talking about what's it like for somebody to approach a group and say, okay, guys, I think I want to join your group. What are you up to? So it kind of puts an onus on the regular members of the group to anticipate you're going to get new members. And I mentioned, trying to recruit new members. What about when they come? And this has always been the thing that we're working on our questions, our favorite questions. And then if new people come along, what if they have different questions? It's not necessarily have to be something we fear. It's something that we can, define the character of our group. And then when somebody comes on and they're, all on board, they're either exactly like, they just join the flow, or they bring a new nuance to the group that allows it to diversify a bit into, broader topics or other topics. There's no real such thing as a clash of ideas. There's just a method of synergizing a bunch of different approaches to topics. So maybe that's even yet another onboarding process into the groups. I'm interested in new economy. What are you guys about? And I've been telling the new economy group, we should be growing in numbers. Like with this current crisis that we've got, everybody's got questions about the economy. Why are we suffering this attrition where we have less and less members? And I think that's where we need to go to the block party. And, we talk about our topics, talks about the things that we've accomplished and where we want to go. And does anybody have any ideas about where this broad topic of the current economy and how do we get to the new economy? And you're going to get a lot of people with lots of different points of view and get them excited about a topic that wasn't terribly intriguing for them to take in high school. Economics is a tough word for a lot of people to go, yeah, I want to get into that one. Including myself. I had no interest in economics until the last few years of being an environmentalist and going, what is the collision that's happening here? I'm so fascinated now.
And once you realize that it's all connected, you kind of can't ignore it, right?
Yeah,
so we've got Silesh and then Jessica and Niku and then Shankar.
Yeah, I was thinking that, because the white paper on animal agriculture is on the Climate Healers website, and it's also being reviewed in Basecamp now, so there's a process of cleanup that's happening. And so I was thinking that all the work product of the Vegan World 2026 Basecamp group should be put on the veganworld2026.org website. So that becomes the public face of Vegan World 2026. And so then, I'm free to do my own little thing in my own little shop, right, where I've been working like Climate Healers, right? So I can continue my work without impeding anyone else. Because I'm writing another white paper now on what is Vegan World 2026. And so just an overview of what it is that we are doing in Vegan World 2026. And also that also has to be subject to your review afterwards, but I want to publish it on Climate Healers website, and then we can go through the review in the process, right? So then I think all of the task force work, etc., should be moved from Climate Healers to Vegan World 2026. So I'll give you all, editing access to that website, so you can do that over there.
We can also, there is a way to use, well, maybe that is the best way. We can use the wiki and have it just be visible on the website too, if that functionality is better, or we can be editors on the website, depending on what works better.
Yeah, we can give you both, you can have both.
Jessica, do you have something?
Oh yeah, thanks. All of this sounds great. For the list that you put up, Suzanne, for where you were like adding a little bullet point below a bullet point, and then Ray was talking about maybe the different people in the group might have different ideas about where it goes, where the different things the group does go. To me, it seems like someone needs to decide at some point what's going to be made where it goes, because otherwise the people are just, it's like, well, what's going to happen? You know what I mean? So, so like if there are, let's say there are 20. I know there are more than 20, but let's just say there were 20 like groups, like projects, including study groups, task forces, everything in Basecamp. Let's say 10 of those are going to write white papers, and then the other 10 are going to do IEEE. And then I feel like, can this already be decided by someone now? Like, who decides it? And then can it be decided first, like very soon? Because then everybody can see when they join it. Okay, I know what we're going to do. We're going to create a white paper. Let's create a let's write the white paper. Or, oh, we're coming up with like a plan, the methodology for organic gardening. So anybody all over the world can get on here and simply, and they can understand, oh, people who know nothing about gardening, and they can see the steps here. You get this dirt, you buy this, you get this, you take your compost, this is how you compost. And they can see like very clearly, step by step. So like, I don't know very much about gardening, but I would like to have, if there's the group about that in Basecamp, to be able to tell me very simply how to do it. But if it's in a white paper, I don't know that I'm going to read a white paper about how to do the gardening, you know. But so if I don't know, I just wonder, can someone or some people decide for each group what they're going to create, to what the goal is exactly to get it there, and then make that known, like that sheet that you put that into that document, and then put that so that everyone can see it, and then so that it's in each group, so each group can see it individually in their area also. If that makes any sense. That's just what I'm thinking.
That does make sense to me. I guess I envision each of those groups doing all of those things at different points in time and with different subgroups, depending on, you know, someone might be more interested in making a simple training guide, and someone else might be more interested in doing a technical white paper. So to me, it's more, I don't know how to say, you know, this group is doing this, because to me, it makes most sense to leave it open-ended and maybe say, these are examples of projects that this group can do, or, you know, something like that. Like, here's one of the other, looking for another one that I have right here is, I'm trying to find you guys again. Here is like a project ideas document, also in the wiki, that, you know, these are kind of all of our goals to get people to go vegan. We know that the documentaries do a great job of that. So here's an idea for getting cowspiracy in the classroom that maybe climate healers groups could sponsor as one of their projects, that and I guess there would be different, like this one would be to take the Corona Healer Summit, which, you know, is a bunch of hour-long videos or hour and a half, and maybe, like Jessica said, people like watching 2-minute videos, people like watching 3-minute videos. So can we come up with a 3-minute snippet from each of the Corona Healers interviews that people can share on social media? And I think, I don't know if the climate healers groups, maybe white paper isn't relevant for that one, but I think that there are going to be, 10 different ideas for each of these study groups that they can do that'll be require different skill sets that we can kind of recruit for those different skill sets too.
I think it might also be a process that refines itself as we have more white papers. Right now, Salish is the only person, as far as I know, that's written a white paper. Are there any groups that are in the white paper writing process? We've got it in mind. for all the groups that I've been involved in. But I think one of the elements that we can't forget about is that study groups are study groups, and that our expertise doesn't arrive intact. We don't arrive here, and this is something that's really tests the limits of sociocracy. When you have a bunch of people who are experts on a topic and they join and they have their ideas to meld together, then it works really fast. When you have a lot of people that are like, I'm interested in that, I want to learn more, but I'm not an expert, then there's a lot more of that first stage of onboarding that like Keith has suggested. Watch this TED Talk by Kate Rayworth. I had never heard of her, although I realized that I've heard echoes of her economic philosophy and didn't realize it. So that process of learning is going to help determine what kind of conclusions we come to and what sort of outcomes we shift towards. So we can't really build a curriculum for each group, because it's got to be organic based on people who are engaging in it. It's got to be fun. I remember Jorge mentioning about sociocracy is to try to find the fun in everything. And that only happens when you have a certain amount of fluidity to pursue what you want to do. And my favorite element of holacracy is to, if there's something that you want to do it. As long as it's not interfering with somebody else doing something, follow that passion, use that energy. And if it ends up not fitting, then that's okay. You can, just do it and apologize later kind of mentality. And that means that there's a lot of people that are able to pursue things that are less structured. And they might come up with something that's completely unique and change the flavor of what's going on without disrupting what's going on. If it's disruptive, you don't want it to happen. But you could look at YouTube videos on holacracy to see that that's one of the distinct differences from sociocracy, is this lone wolf kind of permission that it gives.
Shankar, you had something, and then Melissa is in the queue.
Then Jessica.
Yes. Yeah. Hello, everyone. One part I liked was the onboarding part, especially the training and the certificate, not just to give some certificate, hand over some certificate, but it gives them a kind of a commitment or a face. So I am seeing like more like when people come together, like it's both we have to take the liberal arts approach and a systematic science approach, accommodating everyone. Like some are very good, like they don't want any course, anything, just like the Block Party is one of the example. It brings people and it helps them to think on feet and contribute. Then they might go and participate in events and they do. The other approaches, you won't get sometimes an answer on few things like that. You have to really think again and again, discuss, contradict, agree, disagree. Then it might evolve into some idea that's possible or practical. And I think Sailesh gave an example of that IEEE or something, thinking about some configuration or so that's one example. It has to be refined, and you might go back. So you might go advanced, then you go back. Like that's fine, and it's a long term, more than short term. It might take time. So one thing I see is next is the library approach. Like while doing all this, we are keeping a repository of all those and a process. We have to go and refer and all this. It looks like something that we already did in that situation came like again. When I was attending multiple groups, everybody came back to the same questions. The survey part helped a little bit because I want all the answers, but how do I do that? If it's very too chaotic to post in the Basecamp and follow up questions and people start distracting with some other answers. But if you give a survey, probably you get a focused answer. Even after getting Ray, I remember he told we had a challenge of everybody seeing things in a different way. So even to come to that conclusion, we have to focus. So the point I was saying is we have to follow both the liberal arts approach and also the systematic approach, and also time box it as a course. Maybe someone, if they spend time, like we are seeing ourselves as like, for example, the McDougall program or eConnell program, they all have like a course. So maybe we should bring the training component. So that somebody comes the vegan world, they somehow they feel they're equipped and they gain some qualifications. They gain something to go back to the fit in other organizations, and they can do something. And I think we have a very good study, or we have a workshop, we have events, experts are already coming in. Maybe we can just plan in such a way, you after discussion within one group, you are allowed to go and present your idea to an expert, where they will, and finally, I think the real transformation I see with the vegan world is when you really go outside and connect. So that's the main transformation, or else we are only sharpening the knife within the thing. And also see the other ways, both the evolution and revolution. Like, so we have to take the ideas in both sense. So that is one part, like training part, what I want to say. Next is how we can go outside and influence, or go outside and connect to the programs already exist, and how that I don't know, the tangent or going beyond the tangent. Thank you.
Thank you, Shankar. Melissa, would you like to share?
Hi, everyone. So great to see all of you. A lot of you haven't seen in a really long time. You're going to hear lots of chipmunk activity out here. They're quarreling over who gets which nut. Very bad community interaction going on here. So 3 words are coming to my mind. Fun, engaging, well, actually 4, interactive, beauty. I think those are really important, that whatever we're proposing, for whatever we are proposing, that those 4 aspects come into whatever it is we're offering and doing. So it has to be fun, it has to be engaging, it has to be creative, right? Creating beauty, whether it's eating beautiful food that's plant-based, or reciting poetry, or creating art, or dressing in a certain way that's hand knit, whatever, and that's interactive, because you want people to get involved. And this problem of attrition is really interesting. I'm wondering about this myself, like, why are people falling off and out, and where are they? So I'm just thinking, listening to you, Shankar, about when I run an art project with kids or youth or adults, I give the same project to everybody, but I allow them to make it their own. I give them all the same materials, I give them the same brief, and I say, go for it. I might offer some demonstrations. Here's how I use these materials. Here's how this tool works. But then I let them interact with the materials and the tools and the concept themselves, because it's that embodying it yourself, making it yours, that helps people to really be responsible or be accountable, and to really become involved and engaged. So I'm just wondering if we could take that example and apply it to what you're talking about here. How could we create a toolbox, and in it has all these different things, vegan recipes, I don't know, cookbooks, classes, workshops, whatever you want to put in that toolbox. It has tools and materials and processes, and you allow people to make it their own, rather than saying to people, oh, if you're going to be vegan, you have to look like this, or you got to do it like this. Like, for me, that would just flatline. I'd like, no way, because I like thinking outside the box. You tell me to do it this way, I'll do it a different way. That's just my nature. I'm honest about it, But I think a lot of people would be way more engaged if we made it fun and creative, and where they could really make it their own. So I just wanted to add that, to kind of help us explore a little bit less regimentally, that's a word I just invented, but more creatively and more broadly, broad brushstrokes, to see what are we creating and how do we present this, ... And then I just wanted to take as an example the 9 to 11 divine feminine principle moment that Jackie and Myra and I have been kind of we organize and run on Block Party, it's really this amorphous thing, right? We invite someone, they turn up, they give a talk, there's poetry, people sing, people chant, and there's this stuff that happens around the main pillar speaker or the organization. So I think that might help you guys, you know, or help us. Like, we have the main totem, but around that, let things flow and morph and become more divine feminine, you know, approach, more intuitive, more spontaneous, more creative, more fun. Because I think that if it's fun and engaging, people will want to be part of it instead of being depressed and not seeing a way forward and, you know, bogged down. And also, I think, you know, people, whether they know it or not consciously, they know stuff is changing. They know we're in a transition period. They know that the future ain't going to be what, or even the present. It's that chapter yesterday is shut now, right? We're in a whole new world, but I think they don't know their way forward yet. So we have to be guiding lights. And I think we can do it, as I said, creatively, with beauty, with joy, with fellowshipness, you know, with fun. One of the things I do with the kids every day, I'm running online art workshops for children here on Whidbey. I've now got Seattle kids joining, which is awesome. And we start with a food mood word. So it's like, what did you eat this morning and how do you feel? Oh, I'm an excited avocado toast. You know, I'm a happy banana. And it's just little things like that that really, they seem silly and simple, but they're really effective. So I don't know how that would translate across in terms of white papers and workshops and etc. Yeah. Oh yeah.
Oh no, I have an add-on. Whenever you're
go
ready.
for it.
Well, here's my add-on. See, so I'm going to kind of meme it out in an artistic way, right? I'm going to be extreme in a kind of a comic book way. Come join this working group where we do this and we do it this way. Versus, you're at the block party, we're mixing it up, we're having a great conversation. Hey, blah, 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 I've got this idea. And a couple other folks are like, yeah, well, that's a great idea. We should talk about this. Hey, Jackie, could we schedule some time to have this conversation? So that's one possibility. And then we schedule it and do it. Another is a breakout room, right? Mm-hmm. And, you know, like maybe Jackie could like manage all of that, for example. But what that does is it creates you're able to create conversations on the fly rather than try to fit into somebody's silo or other. Right.
So I just want to jump in. I know I'm talking a lot, so if I have to have a timeout, just, you know, time me out. And I'll, but so conversations are not just talking, right? Conversation is also cooking. So why not offer a vegan cooking class? I'll turn up for that. Teach me how to make the best vegan lasagna with what I find in my garden or something, right? So I think that you could salt and pepper it like that too. Like Block Party, we could have a cooking hour, vegan cooking hour. We could have a permaculture half hour, whatever, you know? And I think we could really make this way more fun and engaging and attractive with little tasks and big tasks, because not everybody can handle big tasks. And I get tired too and burnt out. Sometimes I just need to do really simple stuff like meditate, right? Or go for a walk. So could we also get things like that, you know, large scale, small scale, easy, interactive, you know, etc. Thank you.
Thanks for sharing, Melissa. Jessica.
Thank you. Yeah. Well, what I was going to say kind of goes along with what Melissa was saying, I think. So, like with what I was saying before about all the different groups, if someone could determine or a group could determine what each group was going to do, if there are actually choices for, like, some of them are not going to write white papers. and or if they're going to write a white paper, is there something additional that they can do? So if there are, I don't know how many, I only know of, so I think we've talked about 3 things: the white paper, the IEEE videos, maybe if, yeah, so like maybe that. But if there are, let's say there are 5, I think if we could, if someone or people, or we could come up with what exactly the choices are for each group, then if it's not going to be specifically one thing pinned down, then what are the choices then, so that everyone can see what, because otherwise people can talk all day long, they can, you know, work on stuff, have ideas, and how about this and how about that, but if it doesn't ever go where it's what the, you know, where's it going to go? So if there are at least choices so everyone sees. And then related to the art, so like, okay, at the university in my fiber arts class, we had to do, one of our projects was coiling, and the instructor said, she showed us how to coil. So you take like this rope material and then you wrap yarn around it, and then you basically make something that looks sort of like a vase. And so that's what she showed, and that's what people started doing. And I asked, can I use this big piece of metal that I saw outside that was from like a bed? I guess it was this big white, like 6 foot tall, 3 foot wide thing. And I want to do it about the ocean, and I want to use fabric and yarn and clear plastic tubing that I didn't know existed, but I thought it probably did, that I bought from Lowe's. And she said, yeah, sure. So I got this big metal thing and made this whole thing about the ocean, and it was very different materials, but I used, actually that wasn't quilling, that was the weaving. I did a different thing with quilling, but so anyway, with the weaving, everyone did like a little weaving like this, like she showed us how to do on a loom that we made. And I made my loom, but then I said, can I use this other thing for my loom? And she said, yeah. So I made this big thing. So I used different materials, but I still had to use a weaving. I mean, I still had to weave. I had to create a weaving, but, and I had to use some yarn. And so I changed some of the materials, but I still needed to create a weaving. So if we know, okay, this such and such, or that all of the groups, if all of the groups can create all of the things, and some of them definitely should have a white paper, then the ones that should have a white paper should know that at least they have to have a white paper. And then if they want to have other things, they can. Or if every group can have a white paper, videos, use IEEE kind of way of doing things and come up with things that people can do on their own, like following the same protocol, like that, then it seems like it would make sense to do what Melissa is talking about, while, you know what I mean, like, you know that you've got to follow this technique, but you can use whatever materials you want, sort of like that, in terms of like relating it to the art. Does that make sense? Thank you.
Oh, on one hand, you're talking about structure. On the other hand, you're talking about the opportunity to always break the structure and find things that people find fun. Yes, did I get that right?
Well, that if so, like for what I was talking about with my class, I had to weave, so I had to use the process of the art technique of weaving, over, under, and go to the edge, turn around, over, under, or the opposite way, over, under, back and forth. But I used different materials. And so I'm saying, for people who want to do things a different way, they could, if they knew, we want to create a white paper, but also we want to create some videos or something. But also, if they know what the goals are, like all of the choices that they have, basically. So we forget about the art of way of explaining it. If they just know, if everyone in every group knows what the choices are exactly, and then if they know that they must have some certain ones, if any of them need to have that, and if they don't, then they know, okay, this is what we can choose from. This is what we're trying to create. Otherwise, it seems like what was happening, or up until now, is just like a free-for-all, sort of. If people aren't sure what they're to do, then there's a lot of ideas shared, but where is it? coming together to be something that's beyond just ideas and talking and sharing and that kind of thing.
Thus far, based on most of the groups, it's not like there's an awful lot of progress. But what progress people have made, it definitely should be protected. And when people join, we should be able to demonstrate where things are going and give them some space to participate in that. But also most people, when they're joining groups right now, I can't say for the future, but right now, they are part of that decision-making process about where all this is going. There isn't any groups that are, I would say this group is the only one that's really gotten to the point where what we're doing isn't going to go back to the drawing board. We've got so much accomplished here. We're kind of pioneering a lot of different initiatives. But yeah, I think I understand all that you're saying now, that there's, I just don't know whether it's going to be in the onboarding process or whether it's when they get involved in a project, and how much of an onus there is on the people that are involved in projects to get out and try to recruit people and explain, this is what we're working on. We got this group and we have this project. We're making a white paper about what the study group is about, but there's these initiatives that are really fun and engaging the public. And I think that's another place where the block party is going to help engage, bring the ideas that we're doing in our stuffy little study group and bringing them to life in a public-facing arena.
Jamin?
That seemed like a good segue to Jamin. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, perfect. I just building off. I love everything Ray just said, and to build off of that, I'd like to suggest that if we don't have it already, that there be a calendar within Vegan World 2026 that has all these meetings to which everyone is invited, and many of which will happen on the block party. So be it, but let they be separate calendar entries, just so they're bounded and very clear. 1 hour here, half an hour there, whatever. And on that same token, especially with Jackie stepping up, I don't want to speak for you, Jackie, but just kind of building off the positive momentum. I see you nothing but smiling, so I'll go on to say that with Jackie stepping up to help, schedule and manage stuff, which she's super good at, and she's just super warm and friendly. What if Jackie became, for people that, for those of us who have worked in, corporate America or corporate Canada, that friendly sort of, house mother kind of thing of the office, who kind of takes care of everyone, and anything you need, you call Jackie kind of thing, right? And, so instead of like, oh, shoot, how do I schedule? No, just call, hey, could you, or text her or whatever? Oh, yeah, real simple, no problem, you're in. And that way people have a way to, to schedule meetings, even on the block party at whatever times. And then we just fill up the calendar with these great meetings. So let the calendar be much more that place where you go to find out what's going on. And then you just show up and then you jump in. And then that's how you become part of the community, is by talking face to face, not by writing notes to each other and slipping them under the door,
a great idea,
so to speak. Thank you, sweetheart. But, let's get together. Let's talk, right? That's it. Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, I appreciate that. We could definitely use some kind of integration with your calendar. We have a calendar that's up that has all of our Basecamp meetings posted for everyone to see under the events section of climatehealers.org. It's not what it could be, though. So I think that if we talk, maybe there's some way that you could put our calendar on your calendar, or we do it the other way around. I don't know how that would work, but I think that's worth pursuing.
Great. Jackie, would you like to follow up with Benjamin and Suzanne on getting our meetings from the block party up on their calendar, and then also get whatever link or whatever we need to get it to Nolan, so that we can also post their calendar up on Radish and the block party?
Okay, absolutely.
Okay, awesome. Thank you, Jackie.
Yeah, and I just wanted to add something as well. I think that if you guys turn up on a regular basis, like Silas, you've been there repeatedly from the 11 o'clock at the 11 o'clock block, and people know you're going to be there. They know Jackie and I are there with Myra at the 9 o'clock block, and they turn up specifically for that. So I think that's a really great way to increase the following and really start building out these conversations by just regularly turning up at whatever time you guys select with Jamin, you know, on the block party.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I think that's so. One of the things that's kind of on our agenda here is kind of talking about our aims and where we want to go from here. And I think that kind of segues perfectly into that, in terms of one of our next steps being figuring out a welcoming time for base campers on the block party. So
and Shankar's in the queue.
And
too.
Shankar's in the queue.
Those
Yes.
those two things.
Shankar, go for it.
Yeah, actually, one more thought came. Have you guys heard of the incubators? Like they could be economic incubators or anything, or familiar. Like they'll basically help a startup. One thing they do is they keep a very shared resources, which is very because the probability of using them is like, for example, a printer or a heavy duty printer or something. One company cannot buy those, even they cannot even lease. It's too much in their overhead. But they keep these inhibitors, they give them in a common so that they can really get that quality usage for their business. That includes everything, facility or whatever we can call. So there are a lot of Facebook groups here, okay? I'm just visualizing how we can be one of those incubators for the vegan, because vegans are evolving in a different state and they are evolving as a group, they are evolving as an organization and everything. So how we can be one of the supporting infrastructure person so that they come to know like, hey, I want to do this. I've been in this Facebook groups are there. They're all chaos. Like you go there, events gets attention or something gets attention, time pass. But when somebody wants to do something, they just point fingers, go here, go here. Can we be one of the organization where you come here, you have a team, for example, all they want is just to make a brochure. Like they just come here, and they want to make a video. Like they can, so that is a part of channeling like vegan energy towards here, and which is again goes outward too. So I still don't know how, but it's just a sharing a thought, like we have a good library or something, or they want to share an idea, but they don't know how to do it. It can be backed up by folks here with a research paper or research format and everything. And they can go and share it in that way. So we can do that. So we can apply to any part of our thing. Basically, I'm getting equipped in one way if I come to vegan world groups. Yeah, any thoughts, please let me know. It's a vegan incubator, if I have to say in one word.
Yeah, I kind of heard that as like people could come pitch us a project that we would consult on, like, you know, depending on what skills they need and what skills we have, like, yeah, like an incubator project, or yeah, just a consulting project where Vegan World 2026 does like a pro bono work for someone like that, maybe? Is that what you were talking about?
Sorry, definitely yes, because we already do, like we share the Zoom accounts or something to help others, or the events organizing, like, so I think we already have some of those things mutually shared and executed. So
James has his hand raised. Hey, James.
Hi guys, interesting talk. Yeah, I'm going on what Shankar was suggesting there, and what the conversation we were having earlier with Jamin about the community of communities. we were on about getting plant-based foods delivered to people in their homes and everything, and another take on it from Silas's app situation, like looking at it from a different perspective and everything. But one of the suggestions was not only deliver the plant-based food to the people, but have little menus, interesting menus accompanying the food. So that's something you could work on, is if you could get some collective group of fancied up artwork, or could be put to it, or it could be very simply done. But a group of menus of the various interesting menus, international dishes, vegan dishes that could accompany food parcels and things like that. So with the vegan collective on it, or whatever way you want to advertise it. But basically, it's like a token and also an introduction kind of a card too, as well, like in a sense.
Cool, thank you.
Does anyone have anything? I don't see anyone else in the queue right now, and we've kind of talked about a few things now.
My mom's calling, so I'm gonna have to duck out for a few minutes, but I'll be back. Thanks.
No problem. Anyone has anything else to say on onboarding, the sociocratic circle diagram? If Ray, do you want to go into that a little further, or?
I guess just next steps. Yeah, right.
Yeah.
We're nearing the
end.
Hey, Kamaya.
Hi, Kamaya.
How's it going?
I was just about to say, who do we want to see hosting these videos?
We have a spokesperson.
Anybody with hosting skills? Anybody who rocks a lab coat? Can explain science?
He wants you to do videos.
Everybody loves your videos. If there's anything that makes videos better, it's Kamaya. Add Kamaya, and then everybody wants some.
Yeah, I just wanted to add that PCRM wants to team up with us to promote universal meals, because they have now a chef who has come up with a whole bunch of recipes for universal meals.
Cool.
And they are getting it into colleges, universities, and places like that. But they want it to be part of K-Mama app, so they want universal meals to be promoted through K-Mama. And so someone from PCRM will be joining the Friday meetings. So in a way, it's an example of what Shankar was talking about. We just become a way to help others become more successful at what they want to do, and we give them the resources to make that happen. So, so I thought that was, and it also, resonates with what James was talking about. That, along with the meals, you tell them, here is the website from which all these recipes came from. Right? You can just pick any of those recipes and make it yourself if you want to.
Yeah, I like that idea of maybe including one for your next recipe. You can try this, and then find the whole list of recipes at this website.
Mm-hmm.
I like that.
And Jamin, I think we might have some time to discuss the conversation.
Oh, awesome. I was just waving at Kamaya, but also happy to talk about the conversation. But Kamaya comes first, so I was just, how you doing there, Kamaya? Great to see you. Anyway, but yeah, is this a good moment for that?
I think so. Does anyone have any objection?
All right, great. So here's, and by the way, my mom's actually listening in. She's on my earbuds, so she can listen in. She likes to listen in. So anyway, so the conversation. So here's the first thing I want to say is there's like millions of projects happening all over the world and all these different domains and realms that are like really, really good, right? But nonetheless, in spite of the efforts of so many billions of people on so many positive things, overall, we're still in this downward spiral, right? This multidimensional, multifaceted downward spiral. So there's that. So among the things that are missing, one big thing that's missing is what we are now calling the conversation. So what is the conversation? The conversation is, how do we save life on Earth? That's the question that the conversation seeks to answer. And the conversation, as I would architect it, has three parts that starts with the end goal in mind, right? What is the end goal? Of course we want to save life on Earth. Okay, but how? And beyond saving life on Earth, what, for a month, a year, and then what happens after that? You know, what is the ideal state that we want to achieve as a planet? Not just as a species, but as complex life on this planet, and specifically as the caretaker species within that. So, you know, what is this end state? Number one. Remember, there's so three parts to the conversation. Number one, what's the end state? Number two, what's the strategy to get there? And number three, exactly where do we start now in terms of immediate next steps? What's our number one, number two, and number three next steps? So we've been exploring this extensively on the Solution Club over the last 8 hours, starting at 11 a.m. Pacific time. And where we're at now, just to give an example of a complete conversation spanning those three areas, is where we want to get to. I'm just going to point to Dr. Silas Rao and also other folks who he's worked with, like Shelley Ostro, etc. They've painted the vision. That's where we want to get to, plain and simple, okay? And that's all we need to know right now. As we get closer to it, you know, then we need more detail, right? More resolution. Just like, you know, if Silas and I were driving off to New York City together, right? We actually wouldn't need to know the address in New York City until we're, you know, 30, 40 miles outside of New York City. But for the 98% of the trip, we're just cruising along to New York City, right? So we'll get more resolution on the goal. But for now, what Silas has laid out, that's the goal, okay? The strategy to get there, okay, I would say is a strategy, if it were up to me. This is just Jamin filling in the blank of the conversation. Strategy to get there, I would say 3 pillars. One is food, you know, whole food, vegan, plant-based, immune boosting, right? The other is SRM, cool the planet, right? And the third is the collective superintelligence to orchestrate the first 2 and myriad other solutions going forward from there. But we got to start with these 3 pillars. We need these 3 pillars. That's an absolute in my mind. So the strategy itself is centered around those 3 pillars. And then remember the third phase of the conversation. So we got goal, strategy to get there. And then what do we do right now, immediately? What are the next 3 steps? Step 1, step 2, step 3. Step number 1 for me is literally this conversation where we're at exactly right now, okay? The conversation, right? And promoting the conversation is a key missing piece, and I'm just giving one example of how to fill it in. So that's number 1 for me, and I'm living it, breathing it. Number 2 is develop a network of conversations centered around Brooklyn, New York, the Brooklyn borough, right? And around what I'm calling the Brooklyn singularity, the idea being that be the first, not city, but borough in this case, that we go and feed everyone, right? And then within that Brooklyn singularity, which food is, it's centered around food, but it's not all about food. It also goes way beyond that and into all kinds of areas that we could list the usual suspects on. But we all know, you know, community, parks and rec, this and that, healthcare, shelter, everything. But we start with food and we center it around food. And that network of conversations, to that network would be invited a community of communities from within Brooklyn and from around the world. Notably, there's a community forming in Ireland led by James. And it's Ireland Loves Brooklyn Eats. Brooklyn Eats is the food part of the Brooklyn Singularity that we're cooking up. And so the singularity within the singularity would be the press conference announcing to the world, this is what we're doing in Brooklyn. And immediately, and there would be Silas with the K-Mama app. There would be Dr. Priya with her whole medical team talking about whole food, plant-based, immune-boosting diets, yada, yada, yada. And we'd all say our piece and express the whole vision and the whole conversation, including where we want to get to, homo ahimsa and everything else, and the three-pronged strategy. This ain't just about food. This is about cooling the planet in time, which we need to do with incredible urgency. And this is also about the collective superintelligence to empower it all. And we're kicking it all off right here in Brooklyn with Brooklyn Eats. And as soon as the press conference is over, all the media is invited downstairs where there's a fleet of trucks now driving out with reporters and photographers in each one going to the different parts of Brooklyn delivering food. And that becomes the story, right? The story is a story of feeding everyone. It's a story of whole food, plant-based, immune boosting. And it's a story of collective intelligence, and it's a story of the solution. So what the world is going to hear is that there's a solution out there, and we're feeding everyone. And it's starting in New York City. Well, if it's starting in New York City, it's going to spread to the rest of the country. And if it spreads to the rest of the United States, it's going to spread all over the world. And we announce it with exactly that intent. Feed everyone, right? Go compassionate. Unite the world. When we're all eating together and we're all eating the same nutritious, compassionate food, and we're all hanging together on Zoom video conferences, we're all one big happy family. Whenever there's tension, I don't care whether it's in India, Pakistan, United States, or Argentina, everybody knows, bring the parties together and we eat together. We don't even need to talk about the thing. We just need to eat together and hang out together and talk about whatever, soccer or whatever, right? The same is true here. So the strategy then starts with feeding everyone, getting everyone connected, food, collective intelligence, and then with those two elements now co-evolving, now we've got the strength, the nourishment, and the love and the compassion and the unity, that kind of strength, the strength as a network, right? To now take on SRM. And it'll be just in time. Whenever we do it, I can pretty much guarantee you it will be just in time. So we don't have a moment to lose. So now back to the 50,000 foot level, looking down at the conversation. We just saw one very colorful example of a conversation authored by yours truly with a bunch of help from all of you and many others. What's your answer to the conversation, right? I'd like to ask everyone to think about that as homework, right? How do we save life on Earth? What is the goal? I think we pretty much all agree Silas's goal is our goal. We're in. Okay, great. What's the strategy to get there? And what's first, second, third that we need to do, right? As a whole, as a community. And so we can debate it. We can disagree. That's great. Let's talk about it. But let's put it all on the table and keep hashing it out until we have a conversation that we all feel proud of. We all feel really happy with and confident about and ready to share with the rest of the world. It'll take whatever time it takes. If you like the Brooklyn Singularity, you know, this crazy idea that Jamin and Jackie and others have been cooking up, James in Ireland and Natalie, Stephanie, I'm telling you, the Irish community, woo! And that's actually a big part of it, but that's a very important detail we can talk about later. But anyway, with that, Jackie, if there's anything you'd like to add, and if anyone has anything to add or subtract or questions or anything like that, please jump in. But that's what I wanted to bring to everyone's attention. Number one, this is a giant missing. It's time for the conversation. Wherever you net out on it, you could even have a totally different goal from Silas's. Okay, fine. Bring your goal, bring your strategy to get there, bring your immediate next steps, and let's talk about it, right? Because it's one spaceship. You know, we can't go to the right and to the left. It's going to be one or the other or down the middle or, you know, and what if a mountain's in the middle, you know, whoa, you know. So we've got to figure this out holistically together, and we've got to do it now. That's my impassioned plea. I'm going to respectfully go on mute. Happy to answer any questions, but also don't want to hog the microphone too much. So whoever's next, please jump in. And thank you so much for the time and opportunity and the listening. Thank you.
I've been waiting for Jamin to hit his crescendo so he hits that wind chime. in front of his head. I think this is a great little device. We should have that there all the time. We'll know when he's reaches crescendo, when he hits the chimes, you know, zing, and everybody will think that like an idea went off in everybody's head simultaneously.
I like the idea of continuing that conversation within our group, if everyone is open to that, just as something to start thinking about. There doesn't seem to be a specific group within Basecamp that is focusing on the roadmap to vegan world, like the vegan world 2026. So I don't see why we can't start having that conversation now. And on that note, if there are any other suggestions for agenda items for next week, let us know, or speak up now. What are you gonna say?
Well, I guess, when do we want to start having like a welcoming open house at the block party? Do we want to put that out for this Friday, or?
Yeah. This Friday sounds good to me and my mom, but I'll leave it up to Jackie.
I think the sooner the better. I think everyone, as soon as possible, that they have a space where they can feel welcome and they feel that there's someone there to support them, that there's someone there to celebrate. The most important thing is for people to feel like, we're so excited that you're here. We want to celebrate. You're here with us, and come join us and find out what we're doing and tell us about yourself and how did you find us. I think that energy, I think we should have present like every Friday. We should start as soon as possible.
Awesome.
Cool.
What time?
That I'll discuss with Jamie because I haven't seen the whole schedule yet for Friday.
Okay.
But can I get back to you tomorrow?
Yeah.
Yeah, of course.
Very good. Perfect. Thanks.
I also wanted to do a quick plug for the event that's happening this weekend on Saturday. We're doing a discussion / Q&A session with the cast and crew of Countdown to Year Zero. That's happening from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Pacific time, as well as 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. Pacific time. And that will be hosted by Dr. Rao and facilitated by Deborah and other climate healers. And we invite you to watch the documentary beforehand and come with any questions that you might have. So far, we've done Cowspiracy and What the Health, and the discussions have been amazing. It's been really, really cool to get kind of like a reunion of all these people and see the progress everybody's made in each of their own little ways, in big ways too. Yeah, that was all I had to say. Shekhar, did you have your hand up?
Yes. Yeah. I'll share it to the groups here about the event, and it's amazing. Like, as always, the Q&A part. The one question I had was can we make like a 30-second video of something which is like showing a very, very like a brief glimpse of Basecamp or the Vegan World 2026, which can be played in those sessions, even as a break time or something. So somebody who sees can relate it, says like, yeah, I want to know about that, or I'm interested in about this group, what they're doing. And so that's basically, you can imagine like an ad, and that goes for a recruitment of whoever volunteers are interested. There's a lot of things that we do. It takes a little bit time for somebody to immerse and learn, but that 30-second gives a glimpse of like, maybe we could do a photo video collage of questions, people there, here and there, and people gathered in the October in the Arizona, and how virtually it got transferred, like the 30-second quick thing. So people can relate, and like scrolling through the Basecamp groups and showing that these are the groups, something like that. And then probably, I don't want anybody to explain, probably that video takes care of the explanation. Even Silesh can give like a 5-minute or 2-minute, I mean to say 30 seconds. So probably a quick, brief few seconds in that, saying these are the groups, please, if you're interested, join and share, and let us exchange ideas to create a vegan world 2026. How does that sound?
Love it.
Yeah.
Natalie asked if there was a link to Cowspiracy. Ray's got this coupon that's still available. And then if you wanted to watch the discussion, that is available on Facebook, or it will be available on Facebook soon. I'm not sure if that's been uploaded yet. And is there anything else as we wrap up this meeting? Ray, you've got something.
Okay, so this whole process has kind of brought a few people together, and I'm kind of the connecting pin here. So I've created a document where I've started to work through all the ideas of how we could get people engaged with Basecamp. It's called the Vegan World 2026 Experience 2.0. I'm kind of rethinking that 2.0 thing. It's kind of getting a bit overused. But it starts with the invitations, not just the sign-up survey, but the invitations. We need to engage people on the websites, the respective websites where we have the sign-up, which have pop-ups, kind of like a that we're familiar with for newsletters, which may lead to why a lot of people think that it is a newsletter. They sign up and they go unsubscribe, 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 because they're not really understanding what all the vegan world is all about. And how we engage on Facebook, on social media, and how we talk to people and say, here's a little link, bit.ly join Basecamp, check it out. What is the experience for all those people all the way through to the graduating from their orientation? If there's anybody that wants to be part of that group, contact me and we'll discuss it. I can add you to this document. It's got kind of a structure that starts from invitations to sign-up survey, to the orientation, to the kinds of videos that will be involved with the orientation quiz, which includes sociocracy, what are study groups, what are task forces, how do you get from one to the next, Basecamp for beginners, nonviolent communication and conduct guidelines for while you're within Basecamp, and how to get your account approved, and trying to think through this process of how much information to have up front, because right now it's so incredibly front heavy. We need to try to gradually introduce this information to people and do a lot of information. In order to do a lot of information, we have to make it a fun process. So we could start to do a little bit of branding and maybe come up with a mascot, get Kamaya involved in things that make sense for her to be involved in. Maybe we need a mascot. I dredged up a little sketch I did a long time ago, many years ago now, and it was turned down for a project, but decided to see if this little globe mascot might work. Did Kamaya hear her name, or is that just a coincidence? You're on headphones. It's just a coincidence. It's serendipity. She's the universe is saying here she is.
Yeah.
That obviously connects with the Kamaya's video group, which I had said that I would lead, and nothing has happened with it. But developing scripts that we could just get into a rhythm of create a script, and Kamaya reads it, and we deploy it. It doesn't need to be too terribly difficult. So just contact me. Oh, Jackie's got a question.
Yeah, I definitely want to be a part of that. And I like the idea because I know that we've created, well, not we, Stephanie has created an amazing kind of like advertisement for the 24-hour block party. Or is that kind of like what you're suggesting, that we have some kind of like 30-second little advertisement and invitation to Vegan World 2026 Basecamp and invite people to Basecamp? Like something that we can share on social media and all the face, because so many of the Facebook groups are involved. I'm like, why isn't this person on Basecamp? Why isn't this person on Basecamp? They're so active in the community. Why aren't they on Basecamp? And so instead of individually going, if we could recreate something like Stephanie did for the 24-hour block party, an advertisement that kind of a little synopsis of like meetings and little sound bits of what people are just saying, so that they have an idea, a quick visual of introduction of like, oh, this is what they're talking about. Because describing Basecamp is one thing, but just to sit there and see it and engaging us, laughing and talking and ideas, I think that's powerful.
Technically, we laugh on Zoom. All right, we got little emojis that laugh on Basecamp. A little emoji montage.
And if I could add on to that, so if the advertisement was, look, if the goal is getting the person onto Basecamp, onto Vegan World 2026, great. Let me make an analogy that's like the goal of getting a camel into a tent. Well, the way to get a camel into a tent is you first get the nose of the camel into the tent. I think it might have been Silas who taught me that trick. But anyway, if you get the nose of the camel into the tent with some food, then the rest of the camel will follow. They'll get in there, right? And so I think for us, the equivalent of getting the nose of the camel into the tent is precisely the Vegan World 2026 hour or more on the block party. Hey, look, why don't you come get to know us, and we'll just tell you all about it, and and you can meet us, and then you can see what we're all about. Right? A very non-committal. You come to a party, right? Hey, we can't get you on the calendar this week during Monday through Friday office hours, but listen, we're having a party Friday night. You can meet the director then. It's like perfect, right? That's the whole beauty of a party. So that's getting the nose in the tent. Just wanted to throw that in. Thanks, everyone. Going on mute.
I would just throw in there that both groups, in a sense, have the same problem as getting the camel's nose in the door anyway. Like, so combine the efforts on the one platform, like the block party, and so you're drawing the crowds to both sides, because what the block party needs anyway is multitudes of conversations going on in separate rooms, whether or which, because that's what you need to draw people in. So you're solving two problems. You're drawing people into the vegan side of the situation, and that room could be going on simultaneously to the block party room anyway, but it's drawing more people to both subjects and creating more awareness. And then also not just creating more awareness or giving the person somewhere to go on one particular subject, but broadening their awareness on the other subjects that are so closely connected.
Great.
Yeah.
Well, with that, I think we can wrap up. Thank you, everyone, so much for joining us here today. And I'm going to channel my inner Anne and end the meeting. Try and end the meeting as closely to as on time as possible. And what else does Anne usually do here?
Well, we could do a quick checkout. Yeah, I'm looking forward to Friday on the block party.
Thank you, Jamin, for hosting us here today.
Yeah.
Really appreciate it.
You are so welcome. It is such an honor. It is so wonderful for all of us to be back together and getting together even more on the block party. It's just like really growing. And now it's like it's happening. The network of conversations is happening. The conversation is happening. So many good things are happening. So couldn't be happier. And Jackie and I are starting to work super tight together with Melissa and Myra. And we're just like, woo, like the collective intelligence that's guiding the block party is really evolving as well. So it's super cool. Thank you all so much. Thank you. Okay. Love to all. And my mom says hello also. Right, Mom? Mom? Mm-hmm. Yeah, you can say hello if you want. Yeah. We're just saying hello here. Anyway, thanks so much. Love to all.
Bye.
All right, goodbye.
Belated Mother's Day.
Where we close the Interfaith Vegan Coalition meetings, we always end with Namaste Vegan. And I
like that.
I try to end all our meetings with that and just like cross-pollinate. So just to everyone, Namaste Vegan.
I like that. Thank you.
That's fantastic.
Good night, everyone.
All right, bye, everyone.
Night, everyone. Take care.